Wish you didn't have to be in a shop.
There's not much I can do about that.
Turn the computer sorry.
Kachunga, my friends, Kachunga. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show with the phones on silent. Is your phone on silent, darling?
My phone is on silent.
I wasn't too early on when you were ringing. I didn't actually hear the phone going off. Kachunga, my friends, Kachunga. Welcome to the show. I'm Prez the Red. And I ain't no vicar. Welcome to the live feed blog show, whatever you want to call it. If you enjoy this show, please hit that like button, which is there on the screen, down there somewhere. And if you haven't done so already, and you want to see some more of my shows, please hit the subscribe button, which is down below, very close to the like button. And if you want to know when the next video is coming out, just ring my bell, ding dong, ding a ling a ling. Right. How has your week been? My friends? Oh, I hope it's been good and fun. Yes. Ooh, matron. Yes. Anyway, what have I got for you today? Well, I thought I'd go into two different things today. Now, the first, last week I did an article on an Bavarian race. I enjoyed reading and blah, 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 blah. I enjoy going into a lot of these things. A lot of these things. Yes, I do. So I thought this week I'd do another alien race. I thought I'd cover the Arcturians. That's Arcturians. So tell me what you think of what I'm about to say. Because as you know, I love to hear from my people as I do my videos. If you see any funky movements behind me, that'll be the lady Rod. She's been attacked by flies today. You can see her waving in the background. Gizmo is around somewhere. He's asleep somewhere, and he's actually outside on the bin patrolling his territory. He is, yes. No cats are getting in here today. No cats going to come and grab my food. Yeah, that's what my cats say. So yes, we'll go right into the conversation, and we will begin. My Arcturian friends, this is who and what they are. Arcturians are a group of consciousness extraterrestrial race that is highly evolved and come from the blue planet orbiting the red giant star, Arcturus, in the Bootes constellation. The Bootes constellation. Arcturus, I may be pronouncing the planet wrong. If I do, I apologise. Arcturus is about 36 light years from our own solar system. That's a long way, but there, well, it isn't, because time doesn't exist really in their realm, so they can get here and there very, very quickly. Astronomers have yet to take the discovery of the Arcturian solar system around a system composed of Arcturus and Pleiades. Pleiades. Sounds like that stuff you make models of when you're a kid. Play-Doh, doesn't it? Arcturians are a galactic civilization, renowned for their ability to heal instantly. Just moving to, you're healed, isn't it? That's what you heal. Maybe they can work on my back. I could do some healing, I think. This is possible because they've grasped one concept. They know thoughts become things and have mastered a manifestation ability to do this instantly. Instantly. Like a pot noodle. Thoughts become things is a concept that humans are picking up on the masses now. Products are entering in the marketplace infused with Arcturian healing, and they are powerfully effective. The products are profound because the Arcturians have mastered the conscious mind and the energy it controls. There are higher beings working with the evolution of Earth and humanity into the new age, into the realization of oneness, unity consciousness, and in restoration of harmony upon and within the Earth. This means working towards each of us seeing, being, and feeling and living in harmony, unity, right here, right now, upon the Earth. They have high intelligence, are natural critical thinkers, and natural nihilists. Nihilists. See, this is how you can show this a live feed, because every now and then I'll say the wrong word. Yes, analysts. Being very mentally polarized, they appear therefore strong and capable, like leaders. Arcturian's alien race is well known for its power of healing. Well, I said that earlier on. It is mostly what defines Arcturians as an amazing race amongst this galaxy. However, Arcturians are also able to accomplish additional powers through the aid of their mastery of the conscious mind. Many call the Arcturians way art of the mind, and rightly so. Their skill and their knowledge in working with spiritual energies are immense. However, they are capable of helping us with many, many different aspects of our multidimensional self, such as energetic purification, grounding, soul awareness, and with working in energetic ways with our chakras and light bodies. Not overweight bodies, but light bodies, Yeah. Not the solid bodies, the energetic energy of our bodies. What's that supposed to mean? Lady Roz is misbehaving. Arcturians are full of life and are not shy when it comes to receiving attention. They're like, we're over here! Actually, they are. And are planners and work hard to fulfill their plan. It is said that some star seeds are not good at expressing emotions except for anger. I found this untrue. However, they may fall into a pattern of being angry simply to avoid showing other more real emotions. So when one is in a relationship with one, it is necessary to be patient, not a doctor, but patient. More sensitive souls, their power can make them overwhelming to be around, and their need for attention exhausting. The Victorians believe in and use their sixth sense. The sixth sense is a direct way to talk with universal energy entities. It's like talking with your mind rather than your voice. Honestly. Because they are trapped in constantly, they are able to manifest instantly. This means the Arcturians are one with the universe entirely. Arcturus is one of the most advanced extraterrestrial civilizations in our galaxy. Arcturians work in very close connection with the ascended masters. The Arcturians travel the universe in their starships. Nothing's gonna stop me now. That's by a group called Starship, because you didn't get the connection. Which are some of the most advanced in the universe. Victorian society is governed by what they call the elders. Not the youngers, but the elders. The Arcturian Central Conclave. These beings are revered by the people of Arcturus for their advanced knowledge, wisdom, and extremely high vibrational frequencies. The higher the vibrational frequency, the closer one is to love and light. The closer one is to spirit. The Arcturians are most gentle, loving, and non-judgmental beings. There's also no sickness, disease on Arcturus. It was eliminated centuries ago. They're propelled by crystals that do not come from the planet, from one planet in the Milky Way that has not yet been discovered by earthly scientists. These crystals have a way of conducting the light energy from the great central sun. Victorians say they are no longer used computers because they long ago outgrew the need for them. They have other systems that are far more advanced. One section of the starship is a replication. I don't know why, but some words I just trip and go blah 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 blah. One section of the starship is a replication of Arcturus and has the ability to take any crew member back to Arcturus in its etheric body. This helps to strengthen and rejuvenate crew members who are away from home for long periods of time as they traverse the universe. In other words, it's like a holodeck. That sounds pretty cool, wouldn't it? You see it on Star Trek, only the holodeck. That'd be pretty cool if you could use that in real life, wouldn't it? So, just imagine some of the things I'd love on the holodeck. You know, honestly. Victorians specialise in specific areas of focus, growth and development. It is often predetermined before gestation to the needs and requirements of the evolving civilization. Everyone plays a specialised part and they function as a whole. Where everyone has access to everyone's gifts and abilities, there is not individuality that we have here. Yet everyone fully specialises in their area of expertise, and they operate as one being, one entity, one love. There'd be no secrets there, would there? Yeah. One collective consciousness. Arcturians don't eat, but are able to ingest energy. Arcturians sleep for only a short time, once a week, but for them it's a sacred time to soul travel and connect to higher realms of consciousness. Another room in the Arcturian starship has a complete databank containing every aspect of Earth life and life on other planets as well. Arcturians are able to ingest information by means of their telepathic abilities and through their nervous systems. The process is similar to ingesting food, but it occurs on an energy level. They are able to assimilate information 100 times faster than the average human being on Earth. Because in other words, they sit down and read Harry Potter in 1 second. Yes. Just one book, the whole series. An Arcturian ship has a room that strengthens the vibration of all who enter, so they will not be overwhelmed by even the strongest vibrations of the planet Earth. Arcturians are able to travel through time. They also have shuttlecraft that are global in shape, and they also have a shuttlecraft that are global in shape, which is used for activating energy points and grids on Earth that have been lying dormant for many centuries. There are starships designated to the collection of endangered species in DNA collection type procedures. These Arcturians and the scientists and explorers. Other starships are assigned to working with the humanity upon and within the fallen planets. Often it's in the plane guides. In the planet guides then, in the plane guides and mentors. In the education and healing of humanity upon within the fallen planets, regarding the restoration of human harmony, these Arcturians are the educators, teachers, and healers. It is giving that we receive the many Arcturians travelling on motherships within this sector, and sectors across the universe are also learning, growing, and evolving. It's not just us. Although we are pain in the arse on this planet, we are. And it's as part of their education and evolution and ever-expanding specialisation to share and give back, interface and interact, and be of service to the greater plan for the highest good of all concerned. Now, Taurus is an orange giant star, approximately 37 light years, 11.26 parsecs from Earth, and is the brightest star in the northern celestial hemisphere with a visual magnitude of minus 0.04. It is the fourth brightest star in the night sky after minus 1.46 magnitude Sirius, minus 0.06 magnitude Canopus, and minus 0.27 magnitude Alpha Centauri. What are you laughing at now?
Because you really know what you're talking about.
I do know what I'm talking about. I know my area. I'm coming up with technical stuff here. Technical stuff. It is part of the Booty constellation. Booty. Yes, we named our star system Booty. Boot constellation, pronounced Booty. Oh, actually, no, it's pronounced Booty. I actually wasn't far off. Nah, see who's laughing now? Meaning herdsman. Arcturus is derived from the ancient Greek words Arctos, meaning bear, and Oros, meaning guardian. Arcturus is visible to the naked eye in both the northern and southern hemispheres. Arcturus was possibly similar to our Sun, but has now passed the main sequence period of its lifespan. Instead of fusing hydrogen like our Sun, Arcturus is now fusing helium. Does it mean it talks like that? In its core, causing it to expand. Arcturus has a radius of around 11 million miles, which is around 26 times the size of our Sun. Due to its large size, the star's luminosity is between 100 to 200 times greater than that of our Sun. I mean, it's big and very, very hot. Yes, big and very, very hot. As one of the brightest stars in the sky, Arcturus has been significant to observers since antiquity. In Mesopotamia, I think I pronounced that right. Again, that's one of those stupid words. Why do people in the past come out with really complicated words to say? Were they drunk when they invented the names of towns? It was linked to the god Enlil. The historic Polynesian navigators knew Arcturus as Hercule, the star of joy. Arcturus is a zenith star of the Hawaiian Islands. Interesting factoid. Someone's been listening to Steve writing after me. Arcturus achieved fame when its light was rumoured to be the mechanism used to open the 1933 Chicago World's Fair. The star was chosen as it was thought that light Arcturus had started its journey at about the time of the previous Chicago World's Fair in 1893. There you go. Just a factoid for you. Factoid. Nothing wrong with factoid. What?
There's a lot of it.
There is a lot of it. There is a lot of it. A lot of information. A lot of information. But people want to hear this information. Here, and this episode, going the way I'm going at it, it's going to be longer than half an hour. That's the way it goes. It's more madness for longer time. Anyway, on Arcturus, it is done through a kind of mind link in which the male and female energies are first perfectly balanced and create a portal in which the new Arcturian's being is incubated, albeit energetically. Thus, through this procreation process, some kind of electron force flows through the two beings, and it creates another being that is a replica of the link. So you get proper fusion of the two beings. In other words, true fusion. Doesn't take 9 months for us. Done. Good, like making love, isn't it? I'm in the mood. Let's have a bit of fun tonight. That was fun, wasn't it? That's what it'd be like, you know. Reproduction is an honour on Arcturus and one of the most highly regarded professions. The actual reproductive act is not performed in a physical sense as is understood on Earth. In Arcturus, it is done through a kind of mind link in which the male and female energies are perfectly balanced. Through this procreation process, some kind of electron force flows through the two beings and it creates another being that is a replica of the other. I just said all that. I just replicated what I've just said. God. Oh, Mr. Rimsdale. Oh, there you go. You get the information twice. Twice the information for fun. Ooh. New life form is then taken to a special room that emanates the proper vibrational frequencies until the being is ready for integration into a family unit on Arcturus. Many beings from Arcturus are seeded onto other planets because the High Council has ordered this as a great act. Arcturians' alien race have developed the ability to transcend their ego, the separative, lower, fear-based selves. Success is judged only in terms of the measure of light frequency. There are machines on Arcturus that constantly check the vibrational frequencies each individual on the planet is manifesting. Yeah, I'm going higher. The path to realization of the source is the goal of every Arcturian and is reflected in every aspect of their society. Arcturians teach that love is the fundamental component of life in the fifth dimension. Arcturian society is governed by what they call the Elders. I said that earlier on, didn't I? The 11th dimensional Arcturian group, called also the Oversoul of the Arcturian race. They are respected by the Arcturians for their advanced knowledge of the wisdom and for the extremely high and refined vibrational energies manifested by them. Some say they have wings, but some descend them more like circles of light. The higher the vibrational frequency, the closer one is to light, or spirit, or God, according to Arcturian belief. All Arcturians have an identical appearance, and they take pride in this because they have eliminated the tendency of comparison and envy, so present in human society on Earth. Arcturians are the most loving and non-judgmental beings that one will ever encounter amongst the star nations of this galaxy. As for their appearance, the fifth dimensional Arcturians alien race is short in physical stature, about 3 or 4 feet tall and slender. They're short arms. No good at basketball. Their skin has a slight tinge of pale greenish blue colour. They have only 3 fingers, but have the ability to move objects with the power of the mind. That's what as everyone knows, is telekinesis, and are totally telepathic. Eyes are very large and almond-coloured, dark brown or black, but their vision is based on an overwhelming proportion of telepathic ability and subtle vision. This is not a physical sight; it's more sight of the mind. Hearing is very highly developed, even surpassing telepathic capabilities, and they have dogfight outside. Ooh, woof, woof, woof. Anyway, I'll go back to the start of that bit. Woof, woof. The hearing is very highly developed, even surpassing telepathic capabilities. And they have the ability to feel even with the back of the head. They usually live about 350 to 400 years and do not eat food, as I said earlier, but feed on an ever-efficient liquid that has vitalizing powers for the entire body. A spiritual advancement allows them to never age and also being able to travel beyond time and space. We go back in time. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. They end. Hey, Gizmo's come back in. You might see Ginger Cat on TV in a minute. Ooh. Arcturians' alien race belong to a group mentality, which I call the Arcturian collective. However, they do not act as a hive mind, as each Arcturian has their own personality and can act very individually and independently. They are highly analytical. I was trying to say. I've probably done it. But the analysis are fully integrated with the highest order of intuition and emotionally enlightened love. This emotional and spiritual healing is the reason why a lot of a lot of psycho-spiritual healers have a special connections with Arcturus. The Arcturians are very gifted healers, but they are very different in their techniques than the Doctors of Andromeda. The Arcturians often work together with the Syrians. Together they have established what could be called the Arcturian-Syrian matrix of all networks. Some believers state that they may possibly have some bases on the Moon or Mars. Arcturian races by nature are very private and only for a specific reason do they get involved with Earth. They can be very silent and will keep very much to themselves. However, they have been known to intervene in the ancient past to help resolve very serious conflicts in our area of the universe by sharing their unique ability to show others how to integrate their belief systems and feelings into resolving conflicts. So that is information on the Arcturian race. What do you think? I know it went off a lot longer than what I thought it would, but I'm glad you stayed with me. I hope you enjoyed that little segment. Even with that fun interlude, yes, yes, yes. And now, as I said, if you've got any comments on that, please leave comments on the video. I love reading, love seeing what you've put on. If you've enjoyed what that little section, with you, including my mistakes and my trip on the words. Yes. So now we're going to go to a place that I am extremely fond of, and I set this up, and it went wrong. It didn't remember what I asked it to keep. So bear in mind, just keep with me. Just keep with me. Just keep with me. I had a section already lined up, and it's gone. So bear with me for a minute. Bear with me. Arse. Arse. I'm looking down because I have my information on my iPad that I can work with, you see, and I forgot I'd done that. Looked at something and it all went. So yeah, bear with me for a minute. Bear with me for a minute. No, that's not it. That wasn't it. We're really enjoying this interlude. Hey, again, this is how you know that it's a live show, because things go wrong. Things go wrong, and this is one of those times. But now I'm back. So as I said, we're now going to cover a brief history of Egypt, one of my favourite countries, with the pyramids and the Sphinx and the famous song by the Bangles, "Walk Like Egyptian." Yeah. Yeah, I know. Don't know why I've got a thing about Egypt. I do. So with me, and we will start. Are we ready? Egyptian civilization has flourished continuously since prehistoric times, while the civilization's rulers, T-squares, pens, pencils, and stencils, writing, natural climate, religion, and borders have changed many times over millennia. Egypt still exists as a modern-day country. The civilization has always been strongly connected with other parts of the world, bringing in and exporting goods, religions, blood, people, and ideas. At times, ancient Egypt ruled territory outside the modern-day country's border. Controlling territory is now what is now Sudan, Cyprus, Lebanon, Syria, Israel, and Palestine. Factoid coming this way. It is a strong belief that when Atlantis sank beneath the oceans, they went to Egypt. Can't prove it, but unproven factoid. Yeah. The country was also occupied by other powers: the Persians, the Nubians, the Greeks, and the Romans. Hail Caesar! All conquered this country at different points in time. A number of names were used for Egypt in ancient times. A proper ancient name for Egypt was Kemet, not Kermit the Frog, Kemet, which means the Black Land. Scholars generally believe this name derives from the fertile soil that is left over when the Nile flood proceeds in August. Flooding of the Nile occurred between June and August, and the fertile soil it created was vital to ancient Egyptian survival, with fertility playing an important role. Important role in Egyptian religion. The burial of Tutankhamun, in which his penis was mummified erect. Okay. It's but one example of how important fertility was in the rituals and beliefs of the Egyptians. The country's ancient rulers and stencils. are referred to today as pharaohs. Fair enough. Although in ancient times they each used a series of names. As part of a royal titular, wrote Ronald Leppergan, an Egyptian professor at the University of Toronto. In his book Great Name, Egyptian Royal Titulary, the word pharaoh actually originates from the term ER/AA, which means the Great House. Leppergan wrote the term was first incorporated into a royal titulary during the rule of Thutmose III, 1479 to 1425 BC. When exactly early hominoids first arrived in Egypt is unclear. The earliest migration of hominoids out of Africa took place almost 2 million years ago, with modern humans dispersing out of Africa about 100,000 years ago. Egypt may have been used to reach Asia in some part of these migrations. Religious dependent on agriculture began to appear in Egypt about 7,000 years ago, and the civilization's earliest written inscriptions date back about 5,200 years. They discuss the early rulers of Egypt. These early rulers include Hor, who, according to recently discovered inscriptions, founded Memphis, a city that served as Egypt's capital for much of its history. When and how Egypt was united is unclear, and a matter of debate amongst archaeologists and historians. Egypt's climatical climate was much wetter in prehistoric times than it is today. This means that some areas that are now barren desert were fertile. You see, that's where it's sand. When you've got an area with a lot of sand about, I mean, once upon a time there's water a lot of the time on top. One famous archaeological site where this can be seen is the Cave of Swimmers, as it's called today, on the Gulf Kibir Plateau in southwest Egypt. The cave is now surrounded by miles of barren desert. However, it has rock art showing what some scholars interpret as people swimming. The exact date of this rock art is unclear, although scholars think that it was created in prehistoric times. Egypt's history has traditionally been divided into 30 dynasties. This tradition started with the Egyptian priest Manhathor, who lived during the 3rd century. His accounts of ancient Egyptian history was preserved by ancient Greek writers, and until the deciphering of hieroglyphic writing in the 19th century, were one of the few historic accounts that scholars could read. Modern-day scholars group these dynasties into several periods. Dynasties, that's Dallas, isn't it? One or two date around 5,000 years and are often called the early dynastic or archaic period. The first pharaoh of the first dynasty was a ruler named Menes, or Nama, as he is called in Greek. He lived over 5,000 years ago, and while ancient writers sometimes credited him being the first pharaoh of united Egypt, we know today that is not quite true. There was a group of Egyptian rulers that predated Menes. Scholars sometimes refer to these pre-Mene rulers as part of a dynasty zero. Dynasties 3 to 6 date from roughly 2650 to 2150 BC and are often lumped into a time period called the Old Kingdom. There you go. My modern day scholars. During this time, pyramid building techniques were developed and the pyramids of Giza were built. From 2150 to 2030 BC, a time period that encompassed dynasties 7 to 10 and part of 11, central government in Egypt was weak, and the country was often controlled by different regional leaders. Why the Old Kingdom collapsed is a matter of debate amongst scholars, with recent research indicating that drought and climate change play a significant role. During this time, other cities and civilizations in the Middle East also collapsed, with evidence at archaeological sites indicating that a period of drought and climate hits across the Middle East. Dynasties 12 and 13, as well as part of the 11th, were often called the Middle Kingdom by scholars and lasted from 2030 to 1640 BC. That's before Christ. That's why it's going backwards in time. Going forwards, but it's technically going backwards. Pyramid building resumed in Egypt, and a sizable number of texts that documented the civilization's literature and science was recorded. Among the surviving texts is the Edwin Smith surgical papyrus, which includes a variety of medical treatment that modern-day medical doctors have held as being advanced for their time. Dynasties 14 to 17 are often lumped into the second intermediate period by modern-day scholars. During this time, central government again collapsed in Egypt, with part of the country being occupied by Hyksos, a group from the Levant, an area that encompasses modern-day Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, Jordan, and Syria. One gruesome find from this time period is a series of severed hands cut off from the human victims, which were found in a palace at the city of Avaris, the capital of the Hyksos-controlled Egypt. The cut-off hands may have been presented by soldiers to the ruler in exchange for gold. Scholars often refer to dynasties 18 to 20 as encompassing the New Kingdom, a period that lasted from 1550 to 1070 BC. This time period takes place after the Hyksos has been driven out of Egypt by a series of Egyptian rulers and the country was reunited. Perhaps the most famous archaeological site from this time period is the Valley of the Kings, which holds the burial sites of many Egyptian rulers from this time period, including that of Tutankhamun, whose rich tomb was found intact. This is 21 to 24, a period from 1070 to 713 BC, are often called the Third Intermediate period by modern-day scholars. The central government was sometimes weak during this time period, and the country was not always united. During this time, cities and civilizations across the Middle East have been destroyed by a wave of people, the Aegon, the modern-day scholars sometimes call the Sea People. While Egyptian rulers claimed to have defeated the Sea People in battle, it didn't prevent Egyptian civilization from also collapsing. The loss of trade routes and revenue may have played a role in the weakening of Egypt's central government. This is 25 to 31, which is from 712 to 332 BC, are often referred to as the late period scholars. Egypt was sometimes under the control of foreign powers. During this period, the ruler of the 25th dynasty were from Nubia, an area now located in southern Egypt and northern Sudan. The Persians and Assyrians also controlled Egypt at different times during the late period. In 332, Alexander the Great One, and not just a rock, Alexander the Great, drove the Persians out of Egypt and incorporated the country into the Macedonian Empire. After Alexander the Great's death, a line of rulers descended from the Ptolemaic Psalter. One of Alexander's generals, the last of these rulers, as scholars often call them, was Cleopatra VII, who committed suicide in 30 BC after the defeat of her forces by the Roman Emperor Augustus at the Battle of Actium. After her death, Egypt was incorporated into the Roman Empire. Hail Caesar! Although the Roman emperors were based in Rome, the Egyptians treated them as pharaohs. One recently, and the noise you can hear in the background is Lady Roz getting dinner ready. Yeah, I bet you can hear that really well, Carmen. The carving has hieroglyphical inscriptions that say that Claudius is the son of Ra. Ra, Lord of the Crowns, and is king of Upper and Lower Egypt, land of the two lands. Neither the Ptolemaic or Roman rulers are considered to be part of the Number dynasty. Now, we're going to get into religion now. Religion. Throughout much of Egypt's ancient history, its people followed a polytheistic religion in which a vast number of gods and goddesses were venerated. One of the most important was Osiris, god of the underworld. Abydos was an important cult center for him, and numerous temples and shrines were constructed at the site of his honor. Navigating the underworld was vital to ancient Egyptians, who believed that the dead could read a paradise of sorts where they could live forever. Egyptian dead were sometimes mummified, preserving the body, and were sometimes buried with spells that aided them in navigating the underworld. In ancient Egyptian mythology, one of the first steps in navigating the underworld was to weigh a man's deeds against the feather of man. If the person had committed a great deal of wrongdoings, the person's heart would be heavier than the feather, and the person's soul would be obliterated. On the other hand, if their deeds were generally good, they passed forward and had the opportunity to successfully navigate the underworld. Figurines called shapati were also often buried with the deceased, their purpose being to do the work of the deceased in the afterlife for them. Egyptian religion did not remain static, but changed over time. One major change occurred during the reign of the pharaoh Akhenaten, a ruler who unleashed a religious revelation that stood. Yes, I'm jumping on words again. A religious revolution that saw Egyptian religion become focused around the worship of the Aten sun disk. He built an entirely new capital in the desert at Amarna and ordered the names of some of the Egyptian deities to be defaced. After Akhenaten's death, his son Karman denounced him and returned Egypt to its previous religion. Yeah, all that. When Egypt came under Greek and Roman rule, their gods and goddesses were incorporated into Egyptian religion. Another major change occurred after the 1st century AD when Christianity spread throughout Egypt. At this time, Gnosticism and religion that incorporated many Christian beliefs also spread throughout Egypt, and a large corpus of Gnostic texts were discovered in 1945 in southern Egypt near the city of Nag Hammadi. Nag, yeah, one. Islam spread through the country, and after AD 641, when this country was captured by a Muslim army, today Islam is practiced by a majority of Egypt's inhabitants, while the minority are Christian, many being part of the Coptic Church. So there you go. That is the history of Egypt. History. I got there eventually after many errors in what I was trying to do. So we've had Arcturians and we've had the history of Egypt. I hope you've enjoyed my presentation for today, and maybe you want to go back and check some of the other videos that I have on site. And now it is time to say the usual fanatical words. If you have enjoyed this show, please hit my thumbs up. I like to see people. Nice to know when people I've done something right. It's nice to know when I've done something right. Trust me. If you haven't done so already, if you want to see some more of my shows, just subscribe. It's free. Just smack that subscribe button. And if you want to know, when more shows are coming out, and when they're coming out, just hit that bell. Ring my bell. Ring a ling, and please tell your friends about the show. Tell them what you think. I love to hear what people think. So, on that words, it is time to say chipple to my friends. This show is now about to end. So it is I, Trev the Rev, I ain't no vicar, signing off until next time. Bye bye. That went all right, I think.